Ye. And this is point blank. Coming in hard and off the card, coming with the flow from the barrier, and coming with the heat from the damn steam. Coming with the facts, the crack backs, and the boom bip to the line ass lips. Because this is what we must do at all times. You know what I mean? We have a lot of people choosing to want to see things in the way they want to see it. You know what I'm saying? But this is the facts, the crack backs, the blue bib to the line ass lips, the flow from the barrio and the heat from the street. This is PBN Point Black National News, the late and the great edition and the ghetto edition as well. And I hope everybody has their ears on because, you know, everybody likes to do the spy thing and hacking and all that. I hope your ass is up here, you know what I'm saying, in many ways. You know what I'm saying? Even when we look at many things that are going on in our world today. You know what I'm saying? And one of the things that we're looking at is still on the Gaza situation. You know what I'm saying? Because the reason why this is so important is because it leads to show what it is these beasts in these democratic groups of parties have been doing for years, along with bipartisan Republicans and, you know, crossing party lines and keeping the bullshit going. This is another one. You know what I'm saying? And we see even here, even what's going on, even with the Republican Party, you know what I'm saying, as far as, you know, Haley is concerned and so on. I think Trump needs to make his own choices as to who he may choose as a running mate for the 2024 presidential election, but he also have to make sure he chooses one that fits the narrative based on the people. Remember, Donald J. Trump, your words and your promises are supposed to be true in itself, but is it? Let's not find out too late. You know what I'm saying? So make sure that your words are true in itself as to what you are really thinking and doing for this country. You know what I'm saying? We see many things that are happening, even when it comes to they held for much of the last year as a, you know what I'm saying, as a rising Republican, you know what I'm saying, as a rising Republican in this matter, you know what I'm saying, as a rising Republican in itself, you know, we see it, the presidential campaign after a failed overtake, you know what I'm saying, rival Donald J. Trump in the polling or in the early votes of the 2024 race. We see DeSantis made his announcement and he dropped out of the situation. You know what I'm saying? We see Ron DeSantis supporters send a warning to Donald Trump, you know what I'm saying, in many ways. You know, the supporters, as we went over, the supporters in Florida, Ron DeSantis now suspended his campaign and sending a warning to Donald J. Trump, threatening Donald J. Trump to, you know, threatening to withhold their vote from him should he win the GOP nomination. Well, the way I look at that is, um, if you have a better candidate, or the candidate was Ron DeSantis, and Ron DeSantis falls out of grace, you know what I'm saying? What you should be focusing on, whether you like Donald Trump or not, is the fact of reality based on what this country needs to do in order to get themselves in the rightful position of respect across the planet Earth and the greatness thereof that must be. You know what I'm saying? All the corruption garbage we see is still trailing along, and it's like a planet and people on the planet thinking that the planet, you know what I'm saying, is so weak it couldn't shake us off like a case of bad fleas. You know what I'm saying? This planet is powerful enough to do that and shake us right off like a case of bad fleas. So, you know, we need to start focusing on more of what the country needs based on the candidates that is running for office. You know what I'm saying? We see Michelle Obama or Michael or whatever. say LGBTQ and them is teaming up to try to be down to their tongue. You know what I'm saying? But that whole clique needs to be removed from our government. And that goes for Bush, that goes for Michelle Obama, you know what I'm saying? Creepy Joe Biden, and also um, Kamala Harris. And along the way, we also need to get rid of, what I'm saying, Como. We leave Como where he at, but he doesn't need to be in our government anymore. Como had your run, go do something else with your life. You know what I'm saying? We need to also get rid of, Kathy Hoxel eventually. You know what I'm saying? She should not be in our government, along the way. She also had a run of the middle coming off the Como Moraz camp. You know what I'm saying? And then we need to get rid of Nancy Pelosi. We need to get rid of Chuck the Dr. Motherfucker Schumer. We need to get rid of Kissinger, whatever that idiot name, you know, and many other of these candidates that we continue to let have a career in our government, and their career led to the destruction and the genocide of human races across the planet for many, 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 many years. So while everybody's hacking and got their phones on, you need to understand this policy as a whole. There is no reason for us as a people anymore to be looking at things called inquisitions, you know what I'm saying, and bullshit. Genocidical behavior in the genocidical war type garbage, Neanderthal, beastly type caveman bullshit, continuing to years after years after years after years to where we are today. And to see it happening and being hidden, you know what I'm saying, to the point when it breaks out to an all scale invasion of war among the people, like we see in Ethiopia, Sudan, the Gaza Strip, Egypt, and many, many places around the world. And then have the audacity of these leaderships to call themselves like Sweden and them, joining a criminal organization called NATO, trying to create a one world order based on the criminality, the bestiality, the pedophiliality, the LGBTQ garbage, and many, 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 many religion and all types of pastors and priests and those who are not speaking for the people. What they are speaking for is their Luciferian cultic and Luciferian bloodthirsty mathematical God. We must now veer away from these things. Many prophets and many leaders have come along and even lost their lives in order to warn the people or to bring forth issues before those that have been elected to run these governments in these different parts of the world and have only seemed to bring hell and harem to the world. Now, the question would be, and we must always ask, what race of people is bent on the self destruction of human races or races of people based on what we call racism or prejudice? See, you know what I'm saying? And we have to start to look at that because the construct of most of that is based on the double R theory race, religion, and race. Race, religion, which is a double R theory, meaning that in order to get their people or their people to believe in something, even though that same something would be done to them after involving themselves into that behavior or being forced into that behavior based on what the hierarchies at that time that may be bullying the people to take position, to take the spot, and bringing out these type of psychological games to the minds of the people. So now the people are now being brutalized, killed, murdered, enslaved, and all types of shit in order to transform the race over time to have those who would blindfoldedly follow the bullshit. It's as simple as that. Sounds a little confusing, but it's not, because that's exactly what took place. And another thing people have to stop doing is when someone tells you something and he comes from the hood or wherever, we're not saying that you must sit there in a long conversation and all of this and that with the person. We're just saying if he expresses something that is based on wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and overstanding, then we must accept the conversation to be able to think about what it is we're thinking about or talking about, to where we can go do the science and the research. That way, we know when we see it again, we would know exactly how to look at it based on that fact. We have too many people who have been following behind religion, civil rights leaders, pastors, preachers, and all type of religious group, to where they have even lost their lives in following behind these people, such as Jim Jones and David Koresh and many others, what I'm saying, who seem to want to fight the system based on their religious rights that they feel that they have in itself, and so on. But these beasts is not going to let that happen, and that's why many of them have followed these people to their death. It's a damn shame to see something like that happen. That the trickery is told and warned and told not to go down that road, but you still go anyway. Such as what Jim Jones did over there in Guyana, where we went to and took the black people and killed a whole lot of black people, which many of them probably were Garveyites, probably. I'm seeing, and they turned Islam and so on and so on and so on, and then end up, say, being portrayed through those same things by bringing in a crook. So we have to start to look at these things in itself, because it's important for us to understand it. So whatever warning that you may be sending to Donald J. Trump, I'm saying, I hope the message is based on the understanding of humanity and the earth and the planet in which you live on, to see in itself the reality and what needs to be done to get us back where we should be. You know what I'm saying? So we see Ron DeSantis have made that decision. You know what I mean? So I'm not feeling any warnings unless you are supporting the very essence of that understanding in itself. You know what I'm saying? We don't need to go down that road anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's important that we understand what we have to do in order to do so. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be that hard, and we should not be that stupid, what I'm saying, to know what we need done in its reality. And it's very disheartening to see what is going on in the Gaza Strip, you know what I'm saying, in the Gaza Strip, as to the human life and loss of these people, and the many historical values that, saying, should be brought to peace. But you see, Netanyahu is a criminal in itself. So we know that he is going to do anything he possibly can to make sure that he stays there, and the whole wide world believes, in him. You know what I'm saying? We know that, because he wants the world to believe that it's an actual race and an indigenous race of people to the land. And as you see, they're over there even banning the evangelists from speaking about Jesus Christ and so forth. So the question would be asked in many ways is, how many Jesus Christ and how many gods do these people really have of the same attribute of person, or whatever they're claiming, but they all fighting against each other and creating hell and harem across the land? Is the question we must ask many of these people who go to church on Sunday. You know what I'm saying? I don't follow it at all, but that's on you. You know what I'm saying? But we see Trump wins New Hampshire. We know that. Trump have banged them in the head once again. Trump in the head, baby. and he's rocking them for old time's sake. You know what I'm saying? In many, many ways. You know what I'm saying? We see one here that's coming in. We see legal experts. I'm just making up and coming up to the news that it has been going on, but many know, but we're going to speak on it. Legal experts on CNN say, defamation trial judge has Marshall lined up to drag Trump out if he steps out of line. Oh yeah, and all kinds of bullshit. Cause obviously we see Liz Cheney produces, Ellis thing damaging January 6th, whatever. We see the New York Congresswoman Ellis Steadings has now deleted the statement condemning the January 6th rioters. You know what I'm saying? Following Liz Cheney posts and so on, gives a plain fuck because we know full well the January 6th bullshit was concocted by you should know that by now, by the Demon Democrats in order to create I call it a reversal. The reason I call it a reversal is because it was done to the Demon Democrats and the Confederate group of people. Remember, the Confederates at one point, it was just one whole place. It wasn't a separation of states in itself. These Southerners or the people that lived in the South decide that they don't want to be a part of the Union, and they created, their federation or whatever they call it in the Confederacy. And then, saying they believed in slavery and all kinds of bullshit it could sue and on and on and on and on. But at the same time, you had slavery in the North. So I don't see where either side, to me, really made much of a difference in the map. But they end up going to war and so forth. But when the war was over, and they wanted to rejoin into the government and the union and so forth, these amendments were written as telling them if you come back in, you cannot do this and you cannot do that because if you do this and you do that as a Confederate and a rebel trying to infiltrate the union, you know what I'm saying? These constitutional laws are set here to, you know, put you in a position that you would be put into to be blamed as an insurrection and you could be kicked out or jailed. So they use that against the Confederates, you know what I'm saying, and the Demon Democrats, as we see in more ways than one, the Democratic Party and many different of the founding fathers. But at the same time, they use this old law based on reversing it back on a Republican, Donald J. Trump. You know what I'm saying? And this is why they had to create a riot or a push to the cities and all over, as you see when all the Black Lives Matter and so forth, and going from city to city, wrecking up the place and so on. All these people are followers of the beast and the satanic worship that they follow. But the Black Lives Matters and them, they definitely did the job on the outside skirts. And then when it comes to the White House, you notice you didn't see any Black Lives Matter people there. All you saw was a bunch of white people in the South because at the same time their job was told to stop at a certain point, and then they take it from there, and they rush the White House along with the Trump followers who may have been there and wasn't thinking about breaking in the White House or breaking it up. But like I said, once a riot starts, how do you stop it? This is the key. So now when they get everything going and now they break in and all the action happen and it's filmed and it's this and it's that and it's third and they hide the film and they cut this and that and that, they now say that there's an insurrection, so let's blame it on Donald Trump and then use the same law, you know what I'm saying, which is a very strong constitutional law and a law that needs to be definitely looked at again and put into a proper and more powerful perspective for all candidates as a whole and they use that same section 3 the 14th amendment all this stuff to turn it back on Donald Trump and now blame Donald Trump for the insurrection. So this is why they had to create an insurrection, you know what I'm saying, in more ways than one. But we see judge overseeing Trump's organization finds major errors in his account. Yeah, you can find major errors in many of Trump accounts, and many of you, even the very judge who's probably sitting up there judging him for this bullshitical garbage, digging in the man business and all type of shit. They sort of expose and blackball Donald J. Trump. So Trump is right. They're trying to hit him with everything they possibly got, but it don't make no sense anyway. You know what I mean? But we gonna look at this. We gonna